We're actually making podcasts where we're inviting people, expert people on a specific field to
Yep.
share valuable advices to young entrepreneurs. My first question is, what are your plans for the future of OpenCV and OpenCV University? If you can talk a little bit about
Right.
that.
So OpenCV, it still is the biggest computer vision library in the world. It's downloaded 20 million times a month. And the current status, right, what we are doing is we are, the biggest problem with all these open source projects is funding, right? So I have to secure a line of funding that we don't have to worry about in future. So we have been working with large companies. So ARM became a gold member, and Qualcomm became a gold member recently in just the last few months. And then RunPod, it is a company that does online GPUs. You can rent GPUs from RunPod. They have also become gold members. So I want to secure a line of substantial companies who will fund OpenCV, right? Then in terms of technology, we are coming up with OpenCV 5. And the idea is that OpenCV is always known as an optimized library, right? That it runs really fast on optimized platforms. In the past, it was mostly Intel CPUs, right? On the CPUs, all the optimizations we had done, they were blazingly fast, right? But now the platforms are changing, right? CPUs are still important, but then we have, ARM processors, right? So we are working with ARM to get to make OpenCV fast on this thing, on ARM platform. Same thing is with other companies, right? We are basically working with different companies to make OpenCV really fast on different platforms. In the near term, in OpenCV 5, you would also see a lot of things that have been deprecated, right? OpenCV, when we started building, we would like to have algorithms, even if, many different algorithms for the same task, right?
Yeah.
And now we are trying to remove some of those and putting it away in OpenCV contrib, right?
Okay.
Because those algorithms are not always very useful and they create noise. So,
Yes.
and it also, increases the build size. So we are taking some of those algorithms and putting them elsewhere, right? You can still get access to them in OpenCV contrib, but the core OpenCV library, we are trying to make it lighter, right? For the organization, we are talking to some partners so that we can have a conference around OpenCV. And the idea of the conference would be that this basically would be for practical purposes, right? So in the conference, you would come, companies would come and give tutorials about their computer vision products, right?
Wow.
Unlike other conferences where people give talks, right? We want to focus on tutorials. And this is the first time I'm actually saying these things publicly. So it's a good, and it's very early stages, right? So we'll see how that goes. So that is very important that we will do a conference that will have tutorials and people will learn in very practical things in this conference. That would be the differentiating factor between other computer vision conferences and OpenCV. And we also want to extend, we have been doing these competitions for some time, but we are now planning to do a competition that is tied to a large conference. Like if the results of the competition end up being part of, let's say, CVPR, right? As a CVPR workshop, that we are trying to see if we can create a workshop at CVPR in collaboration with some companies, right?
Wow.
So yeah, so a lot of interesting things coming, right? And there is also a chance, and I'm not 100% sure about that some part of OpenCV, new parts, the existing parts, they will remain free. Some new parts, which we will launch as toolboxes, they may become, we may use that for commercial purposes, right? So, and these would be things that are built on top of OpenCV. The core library will remain free, but things that are built on top of OpenCV, which makes it even easier, right? Let's say we have an entire license plate detection system that could be commercialized. So
Okay.
a lot of things going on. We'll see
Mhm.
how things progress. For OpenCV University, the biggest thing we are working on is a program called CareerX, right? So right
Mhm.
now we have pretty much covered the breadth of computer vision. We have we teach OpenCV, we teach PyTorch, we teach TensorFlow, and we also teach generative AI. So pretty much the whole spectrum of vision-based problems we have covered. We now
Mhm.
want to focus on people, on helping people get jobs, right? So that we have created this CareerX program where we help you improve your LinkedIn profile. We help you get more, visibility in your LinkedIn thing. And then we also help you improve your GitHub profile, explain how you can change things on your GitHub, how to present your work so that it is most attractive for people. Then we help you improve your resume. And once you're done with all this, we also help you with interview questions, right? If you have completed 2 of our courses, then we know that you have sufficient information and you're sufficiently good to face a job interview. In that case, we create some mock tests for you to give. And once you qualify in the mock test, right? If you do well in the mock test, you can also ask for a mock interview, right? So we get industry experts and do a mock interview, and based on this, we give feedback, just like we give feedback on our projects, we give you feedback. These are the areas in which you are lacking. So go back
Mhm.
and improve on that so that your chances of a success go high
Yeah.
in these interviews. So that is the biggest thing that we are doing in at OpenCV University. And I'm actually going to India for 1.5 months just to make sure that I'll work with the team and all these things are done properly. So it's going to be a very long, intense 1.5 months.
Yeah. Wow, those are a lot of things and a lot of interesting things. And thank you for sharing that that much with me. Um, okay, so I have another question. Um, what do you think are the skills and concepts that a young person needs to learn to be a successful computer vision engineer today with all
Yeah.
the technology that we have?
Right. So I think that there are 2 kinds of things, right? One is traditional computer vision, right? And most of the traditional computer vision algorithms, they are implemented in OpenCV, right? So a very solid grasp of OpenCV that gives you a huge edge. So because you have a collection of algorithms, right? And you also understand what are these traditional computer vision algorithms that would be helpful. And
Mhm.
the reason traditional computer vision algorithms are useful because they form the foundation, right? A lot of people directly jump into deep learning, right? And that is not always the right approach because
Yeah.
sometimes there are problems which are much simply solved using traditional computer vision approaches, right? Let's say you want to do an image alignment, and you can use traditional computer vision techniques for very good alignment, right? And so those tools you need to have, right? The second thing is deep learning, right? And as we know that deep learning has produced state-of-the-art results in many computer vision tasks, like image
Mhm.
classification, object detection and tracking, and image segmentation, right? So uh, traditional computer vision, OpenCV, for deep learning, you need to learn either PyTorch or TensorFlow and Keras.
Mhm.
Either one is fine, but you need to learn one of the frameworks. And truly speaking, eventually you will need both the frameworks, right? When you start working in the real world, something or the other, some project or the other would come up where the other framework would be needed. Let's say you have learned PyTorch, you would need TensorFlow, right? So when you have done all the heavy lifting, all the work of understanding what deep learning is, then
Mhm.
learning these frameworks, it's a small extra work, right? So might as well learn both of them. But
Yeah.
you don't need to be an expert in both of them in the beginning. You can just do OpenCV, and then you can do deep learning with one of the frameworks.
Okay. And what about the soft skills? What do you see are the most relevant soft skills that a
The
computer vision
three,
engineer can?
yeah, sub-skills, there are 3 things, right? If you are an expert in image classification, object detection and tracking, and image segmentation, these 3 things, if you know really well, then you'll be able to solve 80-90% of the problems, because most of the
Mhm.
problems you can map it as one of these three things, right? So,
Yeah.
and you have to know it very comprehensively, right? So not just, okay, you why certain model architectures work in certain cases, right? Those kinds of things that you need to know. And you need to know the corner cases also, right? What happens when the objects are really small? How do you deal with that? So
Yeah.
those kinds of things. But if you have comprehensive knowledge about these three things, then pretty much you have nailed it, right? There are other areas of computer vision also which you can learn, but if you focus on these three, this is the shortest path, right? Shortest
Yeah.
path to actually getting a job. So that's my recommendation.
Okay, perfect. What advice would you give to young entrepreneurs that want to enter in the AI field specifically?
Yeah. Well, the very first advice is that do it early, right? Right now, there are a lot of opportunities. And so do it early and try to find a niche where nobody else is doing the work, right? And I'll give you an example of a niche that I recently found. Um,
Okay.
it's a tough niche to get into, but if you are able to get into it, it would be very lucrative in the future, right? It's called computational pathology. So pathology is basically when you take a tissue, let's say a doctor suspects that a person has cancer. So they would take
Mhm.
a tissue sample and analyze it under a microscope, right?
Yeah.
So that work is done by pathologists, and that is the final diagnosis, right? Once the pathologist says that this person has cancer, that is the ground truth, right? There is no other, because they have checked under the microscope. Now,
Yes.
this is an emerging field because in the United States, only 5% of slides are digitized, right? So
Yeah.
pathologists are looking through microscopes 95% of the time, right? 5% of the time, they are scanning these slides and looking at it on a computer. And a much smaller number of times, they are using tools to analyze all the problems, right? So they would
Yes.
literally count the number of cells manually, right?
Wow.
Like when they are looking through the microscope, they would literally count the number of cells to make a judgment that, okay, this is what the disease is, right? But
Hmm.
all of those things, they can be automated, right? It's
Yes.
not easy, but that's a niche, right? That's a niche. Very few people would know that only 5% of the slides are digitized, because uh, in the medical field, sometimes things grow slowly. So the
Yes.
scanners had to be approved first before they could be used, right? So now the scanners are approved. Now they are going for the next step where the algorithms need to be approved, right?
Hmm.
And so there are various steps that are, so in the next few, next 10 years or so, this field can explode, right? Um, so if you find niches like this where computer vision has not shown up yet, right?
Hmm.
Then you have a huge advantage, right? And you also have to, so let's say if you want to build something that competes with Google, right? There is almost no chance that you would be able to succeed because it has pretty deep pockets, right?
Yes.
And they don't need to make money. You have to make money eventually. But
Yes.
if you work in a niche that Google doesn't care about, right? If you work in a niche where it may be very small for Google, but it may be
Hmm.
$100 million. The size of the market could be $100 million, $1 billion, but that $1 billion is peanuts for Google. They don't want to enter such fields, right? But you
Yeah.
can, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is that I also want to say that be open to the idea of working bootstrapping, right? Like I've seen both sides. My first company was I had raised VC money, right?
Hmm.
And at that time, that was the only thing I thought that, oh, for starting a company, you have to raise VC money. There was all my friends had done that, taken that path, and I never
Yeah.
thought that you could actually bootstrap, right? But be open to the idea of owning 100% of your company. because then you're truly independent, right? Growth may be slow, but then you don't have that. In a VC-backed company, there is a sword hanging on your over your head around the 5-year mark. If you're not successful in 5 years, there's a good chance that they will shut you down. Yeah. But if you bootstrap, the longer you are in business, the more your chances of survival grow. Because if you have survived 5 years, there's a good chance you'll survive 10 years. If you have survived 10 years, there's a good chance you'll survive 20 years, right? So keep that in mind. That will lead to, I mean, the growth may be slow, but if you own 100% of the business, it means that, even a small business can be very lucrative. Right. So my first company, for example, at its peak, it was making $5 million with $1 million in profit. Right. For an individual, that would have been a beautiful business, right? $1 million in profit. What do you want, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And you can grow slowly without taking any risk, right? On the other hand, for the VCs, that was a terrible business, right? What are you doing? $5 million, you should not have made any money, right?
Yes.
Now that you have made money, you have proven that you're only making small amounts of money, right? So bear that in mind, that a lot of things are possible with a very small team, and you can make yourself profitable with a small team, right? So come up with ideas which don't take a lot of effort, right? Another idea in this category, I call it the Russian model. So I know several small Russian teams, right? These because they ran out of Russia, right, because of the war, right? So, and it's very difficult for them to get jobs and things like that elsewhere. So what they started doing was they would form very small teams of really good people, right? Like 5-people team. And they would produce like tens of apps, right? Many apps on the App Store, which doesn't take them a lot of time, energy to create, right? Once you have created one app, you can create multiple of those. And Lensa is a great example, right? I heard rumors that Lensa, this was an app where you could upload 20 pictures of yourself, and then it would provide you 200 pictures of you in various costumes and other things, right? And this was one of the first apps that did that. And for the first time, I actually spent some money on apps, right? I spent I think $8 to create those 200 images, right? And most of the images, I would say like 150 of those images were completely not good, right? I could not use them, but 50 images were good that I could have fun with them, right? And so $8 for that, for those 50 images, it was worth it. It was worth it for the fun of it, right? So I've heard that at some point, Lensa was making $3 million a day or something like that, or a month, some ridiculous number, right? With a very small team of 5-6 people, right? So that is another possibility, right? They never raised money, right? And people think, oh, how will this sustain? They will go, this is a fad, right? It happened. It will last for a month. I said, it just needs to last for a month. You're done for your life. You're done for your life. If this fad lasts for a month, you will make $10 million and you're done. You don't have to do much. You can go and retire or work on your next startup, right? So there are these various things that we don't think about. We always, at least I did not think about when I was in school. I thought that the only way to start a company was to get money from VCs, right? And that's what I did with my first startup. And even though my VCs were really good people, right? We had very good relationship. They did a lot for us. But the fact is that the VC model is hedged at the VC level, right? They ask entrepreneurs to take what I call naked risk, right? There is no hedging. So all of them take risk, like 2%, 3% of these startups, they make it big, others, they die, right? So the business is not hedged at the entrepreneur's level. The business is hedged at the VC level, right? All businesses have to manage risk, right? In the VC model, right, the risk is not managed at the entrepreneur's level. So
Yes.
this is a very good insight I had, because after I stopped my first company, right, it was also a computer vision company where women could upload their own picture and apply makeup virtually, right? So after that company failed, and I think the reason for failure is that we tried to grow too fast, right?
Yeah.
We could have grown, 30% a year, and without any risk, we would have become a $15-20 million business. And that was probably it, right? It would not have gone to $1 billion, but that was
Yeah.
not good for VCs, right? So after that, I decided that, okay, I'm going to start my own business and bootstrap it, right? And grow it at my own pace, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we have been doing, and there are creative ways of raising money, right? For example, the first Kickstarter campaign we did raised $500,000, right? It was literally 1 month of work, right? And there were 2 or 3 people involved, very small number of people were involved.
Yeah.
But we had a big following before, and we did this campaign. We raised $500,000. Imagine how much effort we would have to spend to raise $500,000 from VCs, right? Months. It is months, right? So, but we did not have to do that, and that money was paid by the customers itself, right? So there are various things that you could do, that I mean, if you have to take VC funding, take VC funding. But I just want to open your mind that there are these possibilities of doing things which are outside VC and keeping 100% of the company to yourself.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much. Those are some really good advices. Actually, I think some points that I would like to highlight is that part of starting with growing with a small team is even more feasible right now, where we have a lot of tools that can help us that we can leverage to actually make the progress faster with less people. So,
I mean,
yes.
remember that WhatsApp, when it got sold for $20 billion, they had about 20 to 30 people, right? Such a small team was able to build. And that kind of model will happen more and more now, right? Because the tools are so easy, and you can build very fast.
Yes, definitely. And another thing that I would like to highlight is that what you were mentioning at the beginning, work on a niche problem, right? So you would agree that probably a thing that you have to do at the beginning of your startup is to partner with people that are experts on niches. Even though if you are an expert on computer vision, you have to partner with people that are experts on other fields. You don't have to partner only with computer vision engineers, right? So you have to have multiple perspectives.
You have to do that. So it's not just a suggestion, it is almost a requirement, right? So if you are able to work at the intersection of 2 fields, right, that's where you get the maximum, advantage. So if you're working on core computer vision, you're talking only to computer vision people, then you do not get exposed to all the other ideas that people have in other fields, right? So it's very important that you use computer vision to solve problems in a niche that computer vision has not already invaded, right?
Yes.
So that is very important.
Okay. I have 2 more questions.
Sure.
From how do you manage your time? Being the CEO of not only one, but I think 3 different organizations, how do you manage your time effectively to be able to accomplish the goals you have?
Yeah. So first of all, it's really tough, right? What I would suggest is stay out of social media, right? So you have to control your thoughts. And you may feel that, oh, but Satya, you are on social media a lot, on LinkedIn and Twitter, etc. I'm actually not on on these platforms. Most of the regular posts that are done, right, that is done by my team. Occasionally, I go and check out. So I use Twitter very effectively because there is a For You column where I follow only the people who are in computer vision and AI. And that gives me a very good feed of what is happening. So I go there a couple of times a day and I check it out just to get a sense. But my posts, right, let's say we write a blog post, right? Those posts are done by my team members so that I don't have to deal with it, right?
Yes.
So that way I can focus on my work, right? And social media, it can consume. They are so effective, right? If you ever do social media, right, learn the techniques that they are using, right, to make it engaging, not to get social media. So use it as a platform to learn.
Yeah.
But social media is the main thing. I think if you stay away from it, it really helps. And the other thing that I really liked, when you want to do something, put it on your calendar, right?
Mm.
Even if it is an internal piece of work, right? Let's say
Mhm.
you have a task for yourself that you want to, for me, for example, right? Let's say I want to create a module for a course, right?
Mhm.
I can say that, oh, I'll create a module for a course. That will not work. You put it on your calendar that from this time to this time, I'm going to spend my time. So put everything on your calendar. That is very, and this I learned from Devi Parekh. She is a professor in Georgia Tech, was a professor in Georgia Tech. She might be in a different place right now, but that is very effective technique. Put everything on your calendar, right? There is another one that I used to use. I'm not able to do it now because I have late night meetings, but when I did not have night meetings, right, I had a smaller team back then. I used to wake up at 4 a.m., right, and start my work at about 4:30 a.m. By the time it was noon, I had completed most work compared to other people, right? And the other
Yes.
thing is that when you're waking up at 4:30 a.m., right, you're not going to check social media or watch YouTube, right? You're on a mission, right? You woke up at 4:30 a.m. It's not like so. I don't know whether it works for everybody. But for me, it worked really well. It was focused that, oh, I'm sacrificing something. Look, I woke up at 4 a.m. So
Mhm.
that's a real sacrifice. Now I have to work, right? That is why what I woke up for, right? On
Yes.
the other
Yes.
hand, when I work late night, let's say I'm tired, right? Late night is always you're getting tired. Then you say, oh, I worked so much today. Let me reward myself by watching something on YouTube, right? And that you end up spending an hour before you realize how much time you have spent. So
Yeah.
try that option. It may not work for everybody, but try that option of working really early, something like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. And before you go to work on the things that will propel your career forward, right? Let's say
Mm.
you're taking a course, that's the perfect time because you're pushing your career forward, right? And then,
Yes.
by the time you have already done the work, they call it this idea of eat the frog, right? That the most important thing or the things that you don't really, it's taking you effort to do it first, right?
Yes.
And then the rest of the day, even if you don't work after say 6 p.m., you're good. You have already done the work, and then you can relax a little bit and go to bed.
Yes.
But that really helps, right? Having a sense of mission. And then there is this thing that you should also do is write down your goals every day, right?
Every day.
Every day. Sometimes people see my notebook where I'm writing down. It looks like crazy. What are you doing every day? You're writing the same thing. I said, yeah, you have to keep that in mind. Write down your goals every day so that it reminds you this is what your mission is, right?
Mhm.
And that practice really helps, right? And every I have 3 goals I write down, right? What are my short-term goals and one long-term goal, right? And over the years, I have almost always missed my goal, right? And that's not the point. But I have reached like 90% of my goal. And without that, and that looked so ridiculous. My goals, when I write down, they look so ridiculous that, oh, um, like when I was doing the Kickstarter campaign, right, for our first
Mhm.
course, right?
Yeah.
I had written down that I will raise $1 million for this course, right? To even think about that, it is ridiculous that this is the first Kickstarter campaign you're doing, right? The audience that we had at that time was also not that big, right? We were just starting out, but that was my goal. I missed it by a large margin. Like we made $500,000, but it was still
Mhm.
$500,000 that broke all records, right? Um, Another time when we were doing this thing with Luxonis, right?
Mhm.
Luxonis had done $40,000 for their camera through another crowd supply campaign. When I reached out to the founder of Luxonis, Brandon Gillis,
Mhm.
I told him that this could have been $1 million campaign, right? And I don't know whether he believed it or not, but he was a visionary. So he said, okay, let's do a deal together, right? Let's promote it together. And the next time I talked to him, I thought that, I don't know whether this guy actually believes we should be making $1 million from this Kickstarter campaign. So I increased it, right? I said, after thinking some more, I think our goal should be $1.2 million, right? 20% I increased. And then we ended up making $1.35 million. I kept pushing the team that you have to believe that you're going to make $1.2 million. We ended up making $1.3 million, right?
Yeah.
So that really creates, right? Writing down your goal, always thinking about your goal, that really creates that momentum, which is difficult to explain. I don't know whether it is scientific or not, but I don't care. It works for me, right? So, so yeah, having that focus really helps.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Some great advices.
Yeah, and
Fine.
right now I'm going to India with that focus also, right? That these are 45 days. I'm just going to work and do nothing else, right?
Yeah, just focus on what you're going to do.
Right, right. So, and it also creates this sense of sacrifice that, oh, I sacrificed. Summer is great in San Diego, right? And I'm going away from family, right? My kids, etc. So that creates a sense of mission also that, okay, there is nothing else you're going to do. You're just going to work because you are making this sacrifice, right? And the same thing happens when you wake up at 4 a.m., that you have that sense that you have made the sacrifice. It cannot go waste, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's a great advice, the part of waking up early to do the hardest things
Yeah.
early in the morning, because usually what people do is to delay that until the end of the day, because
Right.
they think, okay, so it's night, it's evening, I'm gonna work maybe a course that I want to take, or maybe
Yeah.
a side project that I have.
Right.
But by that time you're already so tired to do anything, and
Exactly.
it is most possible that you just delay it for the next day, and that's
Yeah.
just continues
Yeah.
happening. One last question.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about in the future of AI and computer vision?
Yeah. So even now, I feel that I'm living in the future because things that have occurred in AI, the progress that has been made, this is just spectacular, right? What I'm really excited about is that right now we are having a moment with natural language processing. It is taking off in a big way. But the next wave is a vision wave, right? Because natural language processing works when you are doing a knowledge work kind of thing. You're typing something on the computer, it gives you the answer. Maybe you can write code, maybe you can write poetry, all that works, right? However, when you go to the real world, right, it is when AI needs to interact with the real world, right? Let's say with full self-driving, what are the sensors used? Cameras. Cameras are the primary sensor. With Apple Vision Pro, AR, VR, what is the sensor used? Cameras. There are 12 cameras in Apple Vision Pro, right? In manufacturing, what are the primary sensors for defect analysis or for even seeing whether people are following rules on the factory floor? It's all cameras, right?
Yes.
In medical diagnostics, think about X-rays, about these computational slides, or MRIs, everything is image, right? So the next wave, wherever the AI needs to interact with the real world, right? It is coming through vision, right? Vision will be the primary sensor. Whole of robotics, for movement, it is going to use vision, right? So that is what I'm really excited about, that if vision is so useful today, right, what would happen in the next 2-3 years? Will it be 10x, 100x? Who knows, right? Because all the things that have happened till now look like science fiction to me, right? I never thought that these things would happen. So I'm very excited about the possibility of computer vision becoming a dominant part of AI in just a few years. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, have a
Thanks.
good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.